Welcome to another fantastic tutorial on Elegance. This particular video we're going to talk about the vendor account and actually creating an account for a vendor in the back end of WordPress, meaning a vendor is not logging in and signing up and then updating your information. You're actually creating that for them. So first thing, we want to come to the back end and we want to go to vendors, and in vendors, bottom left, right about 4 or 5 up, we have vendors and we have a couple other things. We have our complete listing for one. Alright, so here's all the vendors that have been added. We have vendor categories. So we'll see the vendor categories have been created. Obviously at the time of this video is very minimal. We don't have a whole lot going on right now. And then the next thing we'll see in this section is adding a vendor. So that's how we add a vendor. Now, this vendor list, so it's not confusing, we only have these 4 or whatever demos that are in here. As vendors actually, whether you create them or not, whether you create them by adding a vendor in this section or someone's actually coming to the front end or to the live site and creating them, either way it's going to show up in here. So your entire listings are going to show up in here. You can actually, you know, click links to kind of see stuff. You can open the link and see their logo, you can see their information, their text. So maybe you want to just check stuff, make sure it's right, or you're not getting some weirdo in there, you could do that. You can check their payments. When did the payment come through? As well as you can actually edit their account. Now, you know, that's up to you whether you really want to do that or not, but it is there. And then the other thing, obviously, is actually deactivating them and or deleting the actual vendor. So you have a lot of control what you can do. Now, the categories. There's no default categories. When you set this theme up, when you get this theme, it's not going to come default with all these categories. It's going to come blank, as in 0, as in not a single one. So you're going to have to come in here and start popping in the categories for these. So right now I got these 7 defaults, which, you know, wedding planners, just some generic ones that I've made up. So to do that, to add your categories, you'll give it your category name. So let's see, ministers, whatever. You'll give it your picture, and the picture is actually the picture that shows up in, let me see, where are we? That shows up on the initial large thumbnail on the vendor category landing page, the actual section so of your categories. So when I come here, what am I seeing? What image is representing that category? That is what we see in these thumbnails here, and that is what you upload through here. Next, you could order it. And it starts at 0 and goes down. So right now we have 7, so it's 0 through 6, and we can order these if we want to. So maybe maybe I want catering to be 3rd, so I'll change places with the wedding bakers. So I can put 6, oops, 6, and then I'll put 2. I'll update my order, and then bam, it's changed. Now, when I come here and I refresh this section, refresh this page, we only see 4, right? There's only 4 categories here. Okay, and that reason is not every single one of these categories I've created actually have a vendor. So you can have 50 categories made, but if you don't have vendors, if you don't have a single vendor for a category, the category will not show up in this section, okay? Next is actually adding a vendor, manually adding a vendor. I'll click Add Vendor, and then you're just going to fill out this information, their email address, their password. You'll choose a category, and you're only going to see categories that have actually been created. You get, you know, your company name. All these fields are really self-explanatory. What's really important is your date. If you don't set this date, the account will not be active and will not work. So make sure you set a date for that. Now it's up to you whether this is some existing member from another site and you're transferring them, what that date is. So maybe even though today's date is, you know, December 5th, you know, 2015, doesn't mean you have to enter today's date. Maybe enter the date that's valid of their actual membership if it's in an existing membership. That's clearly up to you. The photos, that's the photos we see in the gallery. So if I click photography and I'm actually viewing someone's gallery, that's these photos that show up right here. That's this section. So you can upload those photos. Then what we'll see, and this is really important, is logo and small logo. The logo is what shows up here, as well as what shows up in the individual thumbnail listing, so right in here. Alright? So that's important. Next is the small logo. Now this is really important and specific in the fact that with this theme, with the Elegance theme, you can actually feature vendors. You can actually, what we call hand-picked vendors. So if we come to the blog and we scroll down on the right, I see a section called hand-picked vendors, and I can feature 6 different vendors. These are hand-picked. Maybe I charge them more a month. Maybe they've paid extra fee for this or fee for that. Maybe they're just my mother's cousin's sister's friend and I like them a lot. But in any event, I can choose who I set up here. So if you're going to set someone in here, you actually need a small logo to work with. So that's what this small logo is for. A small one is here so you can feature them. And you might be wondering, oh, how do I will cover that in an entirely separate video. So don't worry about that right now. The point is about uploading logos. That is pretty much it. So once you save and set up an account, it's going to show up in this listing. Now, I want to jump to the front end. The front end is the live site. This is if I'm a vendor. I have an account set up. I have an account created. I've logged in. This is where I'm at. I'm logged in. This is what it looks like. Right? So I have my validation as far as how long my account is valid for. I have some text that usually people who use this theme will put text information in here just about their account. We'll cover that in another video as well. But what I want to point out is the side menu that kind of goes over your account, your payments. If I click payments, I can see what payment options I have, when I've paid. But what's really important, what I really want to show you, is the business profile. And this is the upload section that matches this section. So this is where you create an account for someone manually. This is the account creation for a vendor who's actually signed up, who's actually come to the site, signed up, and is setting up their account and made a payment. So they got the categories they can show, their logos, small logos, their locations, and all this fun and exciting stuff in here. So this is where they set that up to show up on the front end. Alright, I think that's going to do it. Again, I'm going to cover other different aspects of the accounts as far as these sections here, setting up your PayPal, setting up the pages and all that sign-in stuff and everything else. I just didn't want to do it all in one video because it's just really too much and overwhelming. So don't worry if you're not understanding other sections. I will definitely cover that in other videos.